My friends at Easy Cater are workplace catering pros, helping you find food for everything from daily employee meals to staff meetings and special events. Visit easycater.com/leaderassistant to find out more.
I'm Dominic Morelia. Today's leadership quote comes from the legendary football coach Vince Lombardi. The only place success comes before work is in the dictionary.
The Leader Assistant podcast exists to encourage and challenge assistants to become irreplaceable, game-changing leader assistants.
Drum roll, please. Episode 30.
I'm Meagan Gleason. Today's leadership quote comes from John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader.
Welcome to episode 30. I'm so excited to have made it this far, and I'm very thankful to each and every listener who have supported me and listened to each episode and shared the podcast with their friends, left me a review on Apple Podcasts, or shot a note to me on LinkedIn thanking me for the podcast. So thank you so much for everyone's support. Today's episode is sponsored by Savoya. Savoya is the secure end-to-end ground solution trusted by the world's most discerning travelers and their teams. Savoya has long been known for its legendary client care. On more than 1 million successful trips, their round-the-clock team and proactive service model has inspired trust around the globe. Again, today's episode is sponsored by Savoya, so we have a special link, savoya.com/go burrows. That's go, BURROWS. And if you go there and sign up, you can get a free ride courtesy of Savoya. Thanks so much for providing that, Savoya team. Again, savoya.com/go burrows for ground transportation for your executive. All right, let's jump into episode 30. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Leader Assistant Podcast. It's your host, Jeremy Burrows, and today I'm with the Savoya team, Meagan Gleason and Dominic Morelia. Hey, guys. How are we doing?
Doing great.
Hey, Jeremy.
So let's kind of get to know a little bit about each of you. Meagan, what was your very first job, and what skills did you learn in it that you still use today?
My first job was serving ice cream and soft serve at TCBY. Those are not the same thing and cannot be used interchangeably. I learned a lot about customer service. It was my first introduction to things like creating a positive client experience and learning how to manage and set customer expectations, resolving complaints and service issues. It was a really formative experience, to say the least, and I think that working in food service should be something that everyone does at least once in their life.
Awesome. Dom, how about you?
Oh, so my first job was in the dairy section of a local grocery store. So beyond just freezing in the back, cooler there, it was really all about, just like Meagan said, customer service, but even more so problem solving. People asking for things that you might necessarily have, or asking for things in other departments. Being able to, put combinations of solutions together and just help them find what they need. You can't tell them, hey, I'm busy. You can't tell them I'm doing something else. It's all about the customer experience and treating them right. So learning that, really early on, is really carried over into the rest of my career.
That's great. So since we're recording this interview nice and early in the morning, what's your favorite breakfast cereal and why is it your favorite? Meagan, maybe you go first.
So I have kind of a cheat answer. I'm a Greek yogurt person, okay. So I really don't eat cereal, but Greek yogurt is my go-to each morning. It's nice starting off each day with a little bit of protein. That's always kind of hard for me. So the Chobani less sugar line is my absolute favorite, and I eat it every day.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's not even fair. That's like asking to choose between your kids, I guess Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Classic.
That cinnamon milk at the end's the best, but there's so many good options out there. I'm still like a little kid eating the most sugary cereal as possible.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, my favorites are maybe a Golden Grams. I like Crispix, kind of non-sugar one, but it's classic. And then, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Can't go wrong with that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about where you guys work. So you guys work at Savoya. Tell us a little bit about what Savoya is and how you came to kind of work with them.
So Savoya, Jeremy, it's a black car service really catered toward executives, really just C-level executives, the ultra high net worth community, people who really value service, safety, people that need, tight, intervals and confidence, that in ground transportation. It's that simple. And I've been with the company around 2 years now and kind of stumbled into it, but Meagan's been with the company for 15 years now. So we're really fortunate to be with a great company with a great culture, good people, and it's all about just delivering great service for our clients.
Awesome. And then what was maybe Meagan? Dom said you've been there for a while. What kind of how did you kind of get into Savoya, and what's kept you there for that long?
Great question. I get that a lot. So I started working at Savoya in the entry-level position, working on our customer care team, interfacing with customers, booking reservations. The thing that has kept me at Savoya so long is just our continual pursuit of excellence. We're passionate about doing the right thing and always doing right by our customers. And so it just means a lot to me to work for a company that really stands behind our product. And I've never been put in a position where we say one thing to the customer, but we know in reality it plays out another way behind the scenes. And so the integrity of the business means a lot to me, and it's something that I'm proud to represent.
Awesome. So how has the ground transportation industry evolved over the time that you've been there?
Oh, wow. A lot has changed. I would say that the biggest shifts in the industry have been in the areas of technology, security awareness, and just general client expectations. 10 years ago, the industry was really run off antiquated technologies and processes that forced really only one real mode of communication on customers, which was communicating via phone. And over time, technology has crept into basically every facet of our everyday lives. And as a result, customer expectations around their experience have increased substantially. Today, customers, they expect for businesses to accommodate their preferred method of doing business. And that one-size-fits-all approach is just not relevant anymore. In addition to technology, the advent of ride shares has caused a lot of customers to start asking questions related to safety and security, specifically around driver vetting. After a series of high-profile safety concerns involving rideshare drivers and passengers, which has really played out in the national media, clients have started asking questions like, who's driving me, or who's driving my executive, and what qualifications and vetting standards do these companies have to ensure passenger safety?
So how has Savoya kind of responded and changed and shifted, to adapt to the industry?
Sure. Our history has always been rooted in leveraging technology to help create the best client experience in the industry. But over the last decade, we've really doubled down on those efforts. And we've released updated industry-leading solutions that help eliminate the everyday friction people encounter when they travel. Some examples include our proprietary online portal, CoreView, where clients can seamlessly book and manage every aspect of their ground transportation needs, including access to real-time GPS tracking with dynamic ETAs. We also launched our updated mobile app where travelers and travel managers alike can access those same features and amenities from the convenience of their phone or tablet. We also released our threat and disturbance monitoring technology, which scrubs social media and other news sources in real time to notify our client care command center of possible schedule disrupting incidents before they impact upcoming or ongoing reservations. In addition to technology, we created our certified driver program, which ensures our clients only travel with drivers our fleet management team has personally met, screened, and onboarded. Our robust vetting process includes things like in-person interviews and vehicle inspections, background checks, drug testing, and a mystery shop program.
Hearing all that sounds very confidence building for a guy like me who's an executive assistant to a CEO. And I think that, especially when my executive travels internationally, if he goes to San Francisco, where he's been hundreds of times, I might not think about it as much. But if he's going international, then I'm like, okay, man, I got to make sure that this ride that he gets from the airport is a legit company that's not going to, you know, overcharge our credit card, and then it's going to get them to the right place. It's, you know, all
Absolutely.
that kind of stuff. So that process that you all have in place sounds like very, very assuring to somebody like me. So how have you seen assistants really utilize this service?
Yeah, I think you nailed it, right? There's a lot of different use cases, Jeremy, that we can solve. But it starts with, you know, it's not just about the traveler, right? You know, there are a lot of things that we do for, you know, the principal themselves, right? Giving them driver photos, you know, giving them communication directly between the driver, you know, and themselves, right? So that, you know, if they're having trouble finding them, they can call them directly, right? GPS to be able to find the vehicle. But giving all that visibility to the assistant is really what's more important. You know, that the assistant can see a real-time ETA as that car is driving to or from the airport or to a location, so somebody could potentially greet them. You know, you see the reservations in an online portal, and you can see any changes that you make. So it's about giving you the confidence that you're not worried. Hey, this, you know, my exec's 4 time zones away. Have they made it to the hotel? Are they okay? Do I need to call and check in with them? Instead of you having to do all that manual work, you're seeing it real time via the technology. So, you know, I know you're, you know, kind of probably pulled in a lot of different directions. So for you to have the confidence that your execs on time, where they're supposed to be, doing the right things, probably makes your life a heck of a lot easier, Jeremy.
Okay, so Meagan, in all your years at Savoya, what's kind of the craziest story you've heard from a traveler that's maybe used a different ground transportation service?
Okay, there's one that has stuck with me that I will pull from the archives from a few years ago. There was a client that had a group of executives that was on their second to last stop of a financial roadshow. They were wrapping up their final meeting in San Francisco before heading to the airport to depart to Tokyo when the vehicle they had hired was impounded due to unpaid tickets. What would have already been like obviously a frustrating experience turned into a nightmare after the executives realized their passports were in the trunk of the car. And that car was now sitting in a locked impound lot. So they were unable to retrieve their passports until the following morning, which caused them to have to postpone the last leg of their roadshow.
Wow. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. Didn't end well.
So Dom, how about you? Your customer portal allows you to save special traveler preferences. What's kind of the strangest, craziest thing a traveler has asked for?
You know, it's funny. We ask that question a lot. Hey, what can we put in your profile? And a lot of assistants have never thought of that. You know, so as they stretch us, we keep getting crazy ones. We have a customer who's done this a few times. They're located in a very remote part of the country up in Montana. And the customer at one point, her favorite restaurant's Macaroni Grill. At what point she tried to buy a franchise to put it, you know, in her local town, but the town was too small, it was too far away, so that wasn't an option. She tried to hire one of their chefs. They wouldn't, you know, allow her to hire any of their employees. So instead, when she has her craving for Macaroni Grill, she'll fly her private jet to the closest one and use our car to go pick the food up, bring it back to the jet. Now, she's not in it, mind you. It's just, you know, really expensive Grubhub,
wow.
I guess. And, yeah, we bring her food to the plane and the plane takes off. So it's there's a lot of interesting use cases out there. I mean, people find a way to get what they want and get where they need.
That's hilarious. And Macaroni Grill too. That's what's funny. It's like just a normal chain.
Exactly. No, but hey, if you know what you like, you know, I like Macaroni Grill, but yeah, that's excessive.
Wow. So this question's for both of you. What's one tip or piece of advice you would give to an executive assistant when they're booking ground transportation for their executive?
I would say partner with a company that places a premium on traveler safety. Don't be afraid to ask direct questions about their vetting programs, including how drivers are sourced and what types of initiatives are in place for the company to ensure ongoing quality and safety standards are upheld on every reservation.
I would say just don't settle. You know, what we've seen is, you know, people have gotten really comfortable with a provider, but they haven't challenged them, and they really didn't realize that there's better alternatives out there. And there's just this low bar that's dominated the space for so long. people become a little bit numb to it, unfortunately, and they're really sacrificing a better solution for them, a better solution for their executives. So it's about really, challenging it, shopping around, calling us, or other providers and saying, hey, what can you do different? You might not necessarily be in a bad spot. You might not think that something's wrong. The reality is it can always get better. There's always a way to improve the efficiency of travel. And it's about getting your executive not from point A to point B, but getting them there in the right minds, set. They've got to be focused. They've got to be thinking about the business, that they're about to do. They can't be distracted by a chatty driver, or smells in the vehicle, or frustrations around the pickup process. They make a lot of money for the most part. So we need to make sure that we're getting an ROI out of these people. It's the same reason that they fly private jets, or it's the same reason they stay at the really high-end hotels. Those products help them be a better executive. And we think that people just ignored the ground option there. I think more so than anything, go out and see what's out there and challenge yourself to find a better solution.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. So, okay, if you had a day, let's start with Meagan. If you had a day where you could go and do anything in the world with unlimited resources, what would you do and where would you go? And you can't say Macaroni Grill.
Man, that was going to be my answer. I would say I would absolutely love to travel to Africa with my family, to be able to see the Big Five at a wildlife nature reserve. It's definitely the top of our bucket list. Hopefully we'll be able to do that at some point in our lives, just when my son's a little bit older, to where he will remember and actually appreciate the experience. But hands down, going on a safari.
Nice. Dom, how about you?
I'm a big space nerd. So I tell my kids all the time, I'm going to go to space one day. Hopefully in our lifetime, it becomes more affordable, but I really just want to float weightless, stare out, into the dark, into the stars. I mean, whether or not I'm on the moon or on a planet, that's another thing, but just to go to space would be absolutely amazing. But my kids are horrified of the idea. They almost break down in tears every time I bring it up, just jokingly. Yeah. So I've got some hurdles to solve there, but one day.
Nice. So when you get to the moon, we know what car service you'll use, right?
We're gonna have to expand that product line, I guess.
I'll get on that.
So Meagan, we talked before. You said you have a remote assistant, and so I would love for you to share a little bit about how you utilize your assistant and what it's like working with a remote assistant.
Sure. So I have known my assistant for probably 10 years. Our use case, I think, may be a little unique compared to how some other people utilize their assistants. I consider her really a right hand, especially on the research side. As we've talked about, we're really a technology-driven organization, which means that we are constantly iterating on our processes, on our client experience. And the main way that I leverage my assistant is to help with testing and troubleshooting client feedback on our technology. She's very familiar with our service offering, and she's very detail-oriented and has great communication skills and documentation skills. So she plays a vital role in helping us to really just chase that continual pursuit of excellence with the client experience.
That's great. So what are some of the struggles you've had maybe working with somebody remote?
That is a great question. Over the last 5 years, we've had a lot of employees internally shift to working from home. And so we, as a company overall, we've really had to work on our communication skills and learning to utilize different forms of technology. I think the best example of that being video conferencing and video chatting. That is my preferred method of communication for our weekly one-on-ones that we do with each other. We connect via Zoom, and it's just the next best thing to being able to talk face-to-face. So I think when it comes to working with a remote workforce, where there's a will, there's a way. As long as you're committed to really seeking out the best communication tools possible, it's really you don't really lose anything with that experience. You just have to be disciplined about carving out time to video chat.
That's great. So when you do your one-on-one check-ins, could you share maybe a nice practical tip for executives who want to improve their working relationship with their assistant via the one-on-one kind of regular meeting?
Sure, absolutely. I think one thing that I have to constantly remind myself with all of my direct reports, including my assistant, is to make sure that I start with why in terms of explaining why I'm asking for help on anything. Or if there's a new initiative that the company is pursuing, I can have a tendency of just jumping straight into the action items and the what that I need help with without spending enough time explaining the why. And so in order for people to really be bought in and to really understand why any of the work that they're doing matters, our job as leaders is to really start with why. So that would be my best piece of advice, is to do that every week.
Love it. I like to, I think it's a guy named Brian Miles, CEO and co-founder of Belay Solutions, which is a remote virtual assistant company. He always said that you should delegate results, not tasks. And
yes,
so
I love that.
It's similar to the why, like, why do you want this done? And then I'll figure out the how.
Exactly.
Awesome. So Dom, let's talk a little bit about ground transportation again. What has surprised you most about ground transportation? And tell us a little bit about how you got into, your career transition into Savoya.
Yeah, I've been with the company about 2 years, and until somebody just found me and introduced me to our CEO. I had no idea that this world really existed, especially at the top end of the market. Where we're helping clients. The C-level and the board of directors, the high net worth individuals. It's just a unique space, and it surprised the heck out of me that that there's not more people really focused at the top. That there's a lot of companies who try to be everything for everybody, and don't really carve out a niche. And that, I mentioned it earlier, there's just such a low bar in the space. It was just interesting that it hasn't evolved faster, and that there weren't companies like Savoya out kind of pushing the envelope to raise the bar back up. So it's been a great experience. A lot to learn, obviously, but it's really fun, getting to represent a product and tell a story that you can really stand behind, and that the product then delivers. There's a lot of sales jobs I've been in throughout my career, Jeremy, and you look across the table at a client, and you don't even really believe the stuff coming out of your mouth. But getting to represent Savoya is truly amazing, because I know we have great teams that are going to deliver behind, after the fact, and that the service is going to live up to the expectations we're setting. So, it's been a really fun 2 years.
Awesome. So, Meagan, how would you, if you were to meet an executive assistant at an event, let's say you're going to a wedding reception or something, and you're just hanging out, and you meet an executive assistant, what's something, most of my listeners are executive assistants. So how would you kind of, not drill them with questions, but how would you start up a conversation about how they take care of their executives' ground transportation? And then how would you maybe do a little bit of a, not necessarily a sales pitch, but does that make sense? Like, how would you just kind of start with somebody that you've never met before, that's an assistant? You find out they're assistant, you find out that they have this crazy, demanding boss. How would you encourage them with ground transportation needs and what you all do at Savoya?
Sure. I think it starts out from just understanding their use case and what's going well for them today and what points of friction they have. Savoya is a service that's not for everyone. And so I think first and foremost, it's just identifying that the pain that they have overlaps with the problems that we solve. Dom, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it really starts, Jeremy, with just understanding first what their challenges have been previously. And sometimes they don't identify it as a pain. Maybe their challenge is just, I need to be able to do something with the kids and manage travel at the same time because we're in different time zones. So it's just asking, hey, what are your challenges? What would you like to see improve? How can you work more efficiently? Like, is it tools? Is it tech? Is it better communication? It's really a conversation. Part of it is asking the executive, asking them about their executives' preferences. Meagan mentioned we're not for everybody. The really picky travelers love our service. They're the ones who really identify with a higher level of concierge. So So it's asking them, hey, tell me about your executive's temperament. Are they easygoing and let problems roll off their back, or does that distract them? Does that cause them to lose focus? What happens to you if they get frustrated? Is it the type of executive who's going to take their frustration out on their assistant, which is really unfortunate? And how can we help solve those problems to put you in a better, position to look like, a champion because you found a better service out there. So it's just a conversation. Yeah, it's interesting because everybody has their unique perspective, and that's based on their executive, based on kind of their workflow and their preferences. But, it's a fun conversation to have if somebody's willing to have it.
Yeah, I love what you said about, both of you said it's not for everyone. And, you've got to just understand as an assistant, if we really want to be leaders, we've got to understand what it is our executive cares about. And so there are some executives that don't really care if they have to hop in a cab and, it smells and whatever. They want, maybe they want to save every penny they can possible. So they'll do the cheapest route possible, and they don't care about maybe the security as much. But then there's other executives that like, I want it to be clean. I want it to be vetted. I want it to be safe. I want to know that it's going to be there on time and wait for me, not me having to wait for it. So yeah, it's just all about asking your executive really what they care about and what their preferences are. So yeah, great point. So, all right. Well, thanks so much, Dom and Meagan, for taking time out of your day to kind of share about what you all are up to at Savoya. It was fun. I got to take Savoya's service on Saturday, take my wife out on a date. And it was kind of nice getting picked up in a nice clean car and getting dropped off in front of a busy restaurant, everybody looking at us like, wow, who are these people? So that was kind of a fun experience. So how can the assistants listening, if they're interested in learning more about Savoya and checking it out for their executive, how can we get in touch with you and find out more?
Hey, great question, Jeremy, and I appreciate that. They can get a hold of us a couple ways. First, they can go to our website, savoya.com. That's SAVOYA.com/GoBurrows. They can also give us a call, 972-449-5563. Just mention the Go Burrows podcast, and they'll actually have the opportunity to have their first trip for free.
Perfect. Love it. So Savoya.com/GoBurrows. Everyone should check it out. I'll put the links in the show notes and put your phone number in the show notes as well. Thanks again, Dom and Meagan. I really appreciate it. And we'll have a great Monday.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Check out the show notes at leaderassistant.com/30, where you can find Savoya's phone number and link to the Go Burrows special link so you can get a free ride. And thank you to Savoya for sponsoring this episode, and hope you all have a great day.
Help my dad out. Please review on Apple Podcasts. GoBullows.com